Happy Friday. I wanted to bring to your attention and remind you about the scam emails everyone received last month. Emails that look like they're from me. And if you, I think the first email says I have something urgent and confidential to talk to you about, needing your discretion and inviting that feeling of there being a secret and something special to help with. And then if you reply to that, I assume, I never heard from anyone who got very far, but the normal thing we would expect to see is eventually a request for purchasing gift cards, usually for congregants who are cancer patients for some reason. Well, that's the usual verbiage, and I assume because it's effective. Yeah, and many of you, maybe most of you, so some of you can spot right away that something sounds funny in that email. Some of you may not get that sense right away. I certainly hope at this stage, but you might be new to the congregation. But anytime anyone would ask you to buy a gift card, that should raise alarm bells. Woe to us if we ever actually need gift cards, because now scammers have sort of ruined gift card purchasing for us. But it just breaks my heart to tell you how sophisticated this has gotten. So scammers impersonated by email. They set up a fake email account that looked like it was from Tom Karlstrom, our congregational president, so they can see his name not just on our website, but on official documents that we file with the state about our organization, our nonprofit organization. So email appearing to be from Tom Karlstrom went to our office requesting a PDF directory, and any of us would have thought that was Tom and replied to it and sent a PDF directory. So they had many of our names and emails already, because those things are easy to find on the internet. And if your name is on our website anywhere, or we try to scrub it from the newsletter, but people can find out where you go to church if you are ever served on the board, or if you're the contact person for a group. But now they have everybody's email address, and I don't know if you can hear my clock. It's 4:00. Your email address, your phone numbers, your cell phone numbers, and your addresses. So, as upsetting as that probably sounds, the truth is they could probably get most of that information off of the internet one way or another. What they have now that they didn't have before is the knowledge that we all go to church together, and so we all know each other. So it's been relatively easy to send out emails saying, hey, Reverend Sharon will never ask you for gift cards. But now they can try to impersonate any of us by email, and email people asking for, so, imagine an email from a friend of yours. I don't want to pick a specific person's name, but let's say we had, John Doe, congregant. So you might get emails that appear to be from John Doe asking for maybe financial help, or can you buy him gift cards, or, some crisis in his life that he needs help with. So to me, that's the most troubling development that they can work with. And, so we go through a couple of days where I hear from everyone that they've gotten emails, but now they have this information forever. And so I don't know how long they wait, but they will just keep trying, because it costs them little effort, especially with emails. They don't even have to come to your door, right? Like, scams used to be more complicated. They can just keep sending emails and text messages until someone responds. And if you have responded once and given them some money, I'm sure they will try again. It'll be a different thing. They'll pose as a different person. So this is so it's so painful, and it's also so common. They're doing this to every church that exists. I heard from someone from a relative when I described this, that at their church, they only hand out hard copies of the directory. They don't send it out. We haven't made a decision about, what level of care to take with that. But I mean, those are the kind of steps that churches are having to take to try to protect themselves. So, so I think, one of the things this calls us to, which is here's a church solution, is to rely on being in touch with each other personally. Many of you, when you get these things, phone me or text me, to ask about them, which is great. And those are also fraught with some complexities. So any of us, I just assume that some of us must have been scammed by this. And I know people don't want to talk about that because it feels embarrassing, or like, we shouldn't have fallen for things. And I just want to say that is not true. We're all going to try and be as careful as we can be, but any one of us could be taken in by one of these things. They have, dozens of different things to try, and they'll keep trying them. So, you may think, this may sound wild, but you may think you're talking to someone on the phone. I mean, I just want to emphasize we need to be careful. So we have a congregant who got a call from someone who saying it was her grandson, and he was crying. So hard to notice. I think it would be hard for any of us to know we weren't talking to someone we knew if they said they were crying, and so their voice didn't sound different. And I think, if I remember correctly, this was a while ago, the grandson was saying he got arrested and he needs bail money, but he doesn't want to tell his mom. So it's creating that sense of intimacy. You're calling grandma because, she's special, and you're keeping a secret from mom. And fortunately, I think by the time this congregant got to the point where they were going to go somewhere to deliver the money, they started to have some questions, and they phoned their adult child, who was the person they were supposed to be keeping the secret from, and then learned that this was not at all what was happening, and her grandson was somewhere else. So I know we have congregants who have sent some money, and again, bless you all for telling me, because that's how we can start to share stories about what's happened. And trust me, if you think this is somehow a reflection of age or intellect, I mean, I can tell you that we have had folks, young and sharp, who have made it very far along before suddenly wondering about what's happening. So yeah, they're just going to be after us all the time. And that means that it's up to us to be, I was using the word suspicious. Someone I was talking to about it suggested, what did she say? Sophisticated. I think the main advice I would give to anything happening with you is to try and slow down. Years ago, when I worked at the bookstore, one time I was taken in by someone who returned books for cash, and it turned out she didn't buy those books. She'd just taken them off the shelf. And one of the key things of that event that I remember is she did not leave my side for a moment. She did not want to give me a moment to think about what was happening and to sort of take a breath and think, hey, wait a minute. So that's why these things come with a sense of urgency, like, I need you to do this right now, because they're wanting you to not have too much time to think about it. So, at a minimum, before doing anything with money, take a day. And of course, not to give out your social security number or credit card number or anything like that over the phone. Now, for those of us who are AARP members, and, I didn't check to see if this is on their website, but their April bulletin has a whole section on top scams, your scam stopping arsenal, and what regulators are doing. And I'll be honest, I don't usually read these, but someone told me that this was in here. So I have saved this one. So if you haven't read your April bulletin, and you might go to AARP's website, this might be publicly available if you don't have access to this. So, there's all kinds of information in here about things you can do. One of the other notes I want to make for our congregants, once someone has, especially if you're in Gmail, I don't know how all of the email systems work. But once you have received an email from someone saying they're me, now, and especially if you have replied to them, but I think even if you haven't, now that email is in your email system. And so it has been happening more and more often that congregants think that they have emailed me something, but they have actually emailed to the scam email that someone had sent them something. I haven't heard of anyone replying to that. I mean, I think they tend to, create these fake emails, use them for a short period of time. They often get reported. You can report. The police are not too interested in this, really. I spoke to them last month, and for the most part, these scammers are in another country, and honestly, they don't seem that interested in doing anything until you've actually lost some money, so that like a crime has been committed. But when in doubt, phone them. Another congregant told me today that she had police come to her house when she was like returning a phone call from these scammers, and to sort of be there to witness what was happening, so you never know. But this, we may get more information from AARP. So yeah, I haven't heard of them replying to the emails, but still, it's a weird thing. So be aware of that. I haven't experimented with, I'll try to run a little experiment. You can block emails, at least on Gmail, but I assume from everyone, you can block emails from emailing you once you have them. And I don't know then if you go to send an email to Sharon Wiley, does that email not come up as an option? So that might be the answer for some of these email problems. The other thing is, you can have a hard copy of the directory that you keep by your computer and look up people's email address, both when you're sending and receiving emails, to make sure you have the right one. The other thing to keep notice of is if you get a message saying someone has changed their email or changed their phone number, because that could be a scammer telling you that. So then you have in your system their fake phone number or email address, and then they're gonna, when you email them, you're emailing a fake person. So it's just a lot of approaching the world with a hermeneutics of skepticism. But these are kind of the times we're in. So yeah, I feel like all of that calls us to more face-to-face interactions, interpersonal interactions. So especially if someone is approaching you saying they're in crisis, they need help, phone them up with the phone number you have for them. Someone else asked me, well, how do I make another way to make sure you're, at least to get to me, is you can find an email that you got from me. So, for our elders, for example, each month I send out an email reminding them about the elders lunch. You can find the elders lunch email and reply to it, and then you have my email address, not a fake one showing up in your system. So, yeah, it breaks my heart to think of people spending their lives this way. I assume they're in crisis, and of course, there are bad people in the world. We can pray for them to have better lives and improve their skills to use for good instead of bad. Yeah, but I do, do what's right for you, but I hope we don't have to be embarrassed to tell each other what's happened to us, because we can learn from each other's stories. And, someone told me today they were afraid of being told, like, you should have known better. And I don't think that's the right response. We can all try our best, but, there are people out there, they're not even working around the clock. This is, auto set up by a computer system. Oh, I'm kind of dark. So they don't even have to work very hard for all of these emails to go out. I think it's a little naive to hope that you're sharp enough to spot it. Again, I think slowing down, if you're involved in any kind of scenario where someone's telling you, hurry, it's urgent, can't wait. Unfortunately, that should be one of our red flags of something going wrong. There are very few, the only things that can't wait are things like at a hospital, not usually so much money things. So, yeah, that's my rumination on living in tough times. They prey on us because we are religious people and known to be caring and compassionate. So this is part of the burden we carry by being caring and compassionate people, is that there are people trying very hard to take advantage of us. So hugs and love to all of us. And yeah, I love you. Take care.